I'm a bit worried when I look at what is happening now, because I was in Bulawayo in the early 70s. And back then, of course, we know it was the colonial government. There was a parking system which was entirely run by the city council. And I asked myself to say, why is it that city council could seed that operation, seed that service, give it away, outsource or externalize it, instead of the council itself entirely running it. I had my revered prof here saying he was actually applauding the company to say it is through its social corporate responsibility giving something towards the city council. But I was saying to myself, why couldn't the council entirely handle the project on its own so that it gets not 70% but 100%? Furthermore, when you look at what is currently happening in the city, you look at the road construction. City council appears to have given it up to other companies. Housing development, it's given to companies. Servicing of stands, they're given to companies. Refuse collection, council gives it out. What really entirely is city council there for, apart from water purification?
Ask a question in relation to there's this issue I remember when we were growing up, there were these pump This is a party. I think many other suburbs also have the same. And I believe those marketplaces were serving that purpose, so that people could sell their sort of these vegetables and other agricultural items there. So if there is city council in the house, I would like to understand. I think at one point, sort of ukuthi kumele kube revive okuyizinto lokho kwagcina ngani and singakhangela kade sokuseva amanye ama purposes which they were not meant for. I'm not sure whether the city council is still controlling those facilities or not. So I think my question is directed mostly to the city council if it's in the house.
Prof uthi company le ngiyalapha koBulawayo, ngiyabantu bakoBulawayo. Kodwa bathe behamba besiye council besiyaxazia. I-council ibanikezile yini ama document atshengisayo ukuthi i-company le ngiyalapha koBulawayo? Why ngibuza lo mbuzo? Ngoba izinto zokuregister ama-company ngiyazazi. Uyakwanisa ukuba le company uyiregister ngo-2010 kubuya abantu ufike ukhipha ama-directors utransfer ama-shares kungene kuphela kube sokuthiwa i-company le yaregisterwa ngo-2010 kabasinike ama-annual returns awe-deeds for the past 5 years nxa besithi i-company le ngiyakhona. Xa futhi besithi i-company le yi-sister company eGoli awuregister i-company eZimbabwe manxa ule company eGoli ungaphiwanga i-certificate of incorporation eGoli esizabuya ukliwe la izida uphinde ukliwe i-deed office etshengisela ukuthi usebenzisa sembizo i-company le register eGoli uyavunyelwa futhi lokuthi uregister after usukliwe yisazi ngabasinike la ama document.
Ngebizo lami ngithiwa Level Chuno. Ngilombuzo ngizokuthiwa i-TTI khona. My question to them is, what pricing model did they use to arrive at $1 per hour? What is it that they took into consideration? Always really, I hope and I pray for my economists, but mina njengomuntu ohlala estreetini uhambe estreetini ngokuza doesn't it make sense yini ukuthi capitalize on sales than higher profit margin, because almost on a daily basis ama spaces are empty alabantu But if you can capitalize on a muscles, in other words, by charging nominal fees, affordable fees, want to make more money rather than hoping to make large profit at a go.
My question goes to the City Council. Bekungasoze kube ngcono yini council ukuthi njengoba sikhuluma ngokuthi we are living in a modern world, okulama innovations anje parking system lay. City send out a team, researcher on new things esingazenza sizozenzela thina rather than bring people from outside.
Meters were vandalized, as I researched, were vandalized and they're no longer usable. And you find also that we are no longer using coins now. Our currency, we're using banknotes, which cannot really fit. The system is now not usable, as we can see. And then when it comes to the dollar fee, it should be looked into in the context of the national situation. You find that there are some cities, Harare, Gweru, and so on, they're all charging $1. However, as I engaged the city council, they said they are looking into that matter. They are going to make some revisions into some of these charges, not really all of a sudden, but they are looking into the whole matter of listening and that changing where they can change. Previously, parking, for example, in some other categorization of the parking. That's what I found through the survey.
Why this year we are basing your argument on surveys that have been collected or taken, but you are living in a situation where the economy is non-functional, it's not working at all. Prices could be pegged at $1 in Harare, likewise Bulawayo follow suits. But is it a working figure for the society we live in or not? That's what we should be looking at. Is it user-friendly for everyone? Is it affordable? It's not. So what should be the way forward in terms of trying to align this figure to suit the society? I think that should be the center of our discussion.
From Bulawayo Vendors Traders Association. Umbuzo wami ngizaqala nge-TTI ukuthi are they ready for i-development ye-Bulawayo kumbe bazodinga imali? Why ngibuza lokho? Ungakhangela lapha sebefake khona ongamasensa wabo lokho okunye bakufaka phakathi kwamagodi. They are not even worried about ukuthi bafike balevule nje kuphela ukuthi bajengisele ukuthi bafuna ba-develop, but what they want is imali. Why bengaqali balungise ukuthi bafike bafake nje bavale nje bafake kuphakathi kwamagodi okunye lapho futhi uphake khona ubhadala imoto yabo isifa. Then sengibuza i-research ngeke ngizwa uProfessor Khumalo sithi yona ama-stakeholders like Bulawayo City Council, they were denying that beer gardens are owned by individuals. I don't think they are serious, because we know certain beer gardens owned by individuals, senior management guys from City Council. We know that. So what let one run individuals is not true.
Council, what is the issue behind e-parking in LA in terms of why did they engage a private entity to partner on our issues in parking? And when a council, uma TTI ithe yona izacharge $1, bona njengabanikazi bedolobho bakuthethe ngaphi ukuthi bevume ukuthi sibhadale $1? Because I'm assuming ukuthi these are the city fathers, right? They really do understand the economy and to Bulawayo. Let's not copy what Harare is doing. As a Kangelenil, for instance, fuel, you hear if fuel it's cheaper as you go up to Harare. And there's a reason, Abayin Park, i-fuel iba expensive as you transport it. Hence, ungathola o-Vic Falls langaphi i-expensive. Bona, why are they matching i-Harare or comparing the Harare kumbe leGqwele in terms of the pricing? We want to understand the pricing model. How did they arrive at the dollar? And I think into lay ingaphendulwa ngcono yi-council engasinika i-background yoku-engage a private entity in all this. I understand Professor Khumalo uwazama ukuthi ungane uyayiphendula ethi ama-meters akudala, they are now old, vandalized, and asangeni ama-coins. But uyavuma yini ukuthi i-council was the one that was in charge of those old systems? What then is different now ukuthi they are now engaging a private entity? Kule a new model. Why not go alone? Do it alone.
My name is Pastor David Chikore. I came all the way from Gweru, representing an organization called Kuprada, a consortium partner in SIAM. I want to thank firstly my colleagues, Mike Ndwene and Mr. Dube for representing the constituencies of vendors and residents. I want to thank you because I believe that what you've done is actually more or less you represented the residents even in Gweru, because we've got similar predicaments. Now, going back to the professor, I would have loved to hear him dissect this issue from the point of saying, or maybe going as far as explaining to how did you get to where we are, where were we, how did you get to where, because it's like we're in a forum where we are celebrating. Listen to the professor. It's like we're in a forum where we are celebrating ineptitude, where we are celebrating people who allowed a facility to get run down. Then we are celebrating them, then deciding to cede it to a private player. But when they could easily have done it themselves, what is it that is internally wrong with our system? Yes, we eventually got to a place maybe where we could not afford, but why? How did we get there? And the issue of opaqueness of of these contracts, opaqueness, absence of consultations, we continue to be concerned, even in our constituency.
In the first place, as council, we've always operated in parking management. I think we all know that from time immemorial. It worked well during the era when we had coins and we're using coins. Then we moved to the era where we introduced the booklets. And then now when we have modernized, we will all agree that the reason why probably we're now crying that parking is expensive is the more efficiency that it has brought into the city. The 30-minute parking bays previously from 2009 were going at 76 cents per bay for 30 minutes, which translated to $1.52 minutes for an hour. But because the efficiency was not there of collecting the funds, you will discover that a lot of people did not feel that it was 76 cents. Because that booklet, we're buying it with 25 pages for $19. So what has happened actually, you will find that the same parking bay in the new system is now costing $1. Whereas if we go with the prices that we gazetted earlier, would actually be paying more. So when you look at it that way, you will find that it's not actually an increase in the amount that we have been paying, but it is the efficiency in collection that has actually brought about the cry that we're experiencing within the city. Also,
the city has got about 200,000 cars that are in the city. And the parking management has been implemented at full scale, will be 7,200 bays. So when you look at it from that perspective, you then look at a building like, I'll give Laugh House, together with Old Mutual, together with Pioneer. And we consider that each business now occupies just one office or two offices. And those people, if they are all supposed to park on the street, what it would actually mean is that all of their clients will have to look for somewhere else to park. So one of the biggest aims that we implemented this system was to decongest, so that we are able to manage the parking, so that somebody who goes to Edgar's can find a parking space anytime that they want to go and shop. The current situation which was prevailing within the city was that somebody would come and park for the whole day. So if the 7,200 people park their cars for the whole day, that means that the bigger percentage, which is about 97% or so, of people don't have a place to park. So this is one of the things where you'd actually now find some people parking on the street, having some streets which were becoming difficult for the motorists to move. So as a city, we had to manage that, because that's not the normal way. Also, you discover that when this city was planned, a lot of parking spaces were provided for. And those parking spaces that were provided for are no longer being used for what they were meant for. I'll give you an example. In the petition that has been going around, they cited Hayden and Sly as a place where those people are there no longer have a place to park. But when you look at Hayden and Sly, the whole place which is behind is meant to be parking for Hayden and Sly. And because the owner of Hayden and Sly has decided to make more money, they've taken the other space and they've given it to what? For somebody to do a car sales. And the other space is actually locked. Then they would come and then they would say, there is no parking in the city. Then you look at places that were meant to be parkades for long hours, because on-street parking was never meant for business owners. On-street parking was meant for customers. Even if you go to the Act, on-street parking is for customers. It's not a garage where somebody can park the full day. So these are some of the things that probably we may not be privy to, because some of us probably, when we started seeing the booming of cars, we never realized how the city had been planned. Most of the places, if you look at them, for every 100 square meters, there is supposed to be on-site parking. The best practice, even worldwide, I think Prof tried to talk about it. You go to all these cities and the like. It is to make sure that the environment that we're living in is an environment that is not being polluted, and an environment where we're creating an environment that future generations would actually be able to live within the city. I'll tell you this, one of the reasons why the people have to leave cars at home, to take rides with others, is to make sure that the city does not get polluted. If you look at the center of the CBD, where a lot of cars were, and you look at the trees, all of those trees, you will see that they've been polluted. But you move to the places where there've been less parking, you see that the trees are healthier. So in a way, we are even killing our own environment, because most of the cars that we have even within the city, you agree that they are not efficient in their combustion of the fuel. Most of them, they are not serviced. That has got an effect on the environment that we live on. That has got an effect on our lives, even as we speak, all of us. So these are some of the things that as a city we need to look at. You will find that the air was cleaner even during the COVID era, because there were a few cars that were moving. So we need to look at all those things as a city, because we are not only into collecting funds, because most people think that the parking management came to harness funds. Yes, we need the funds so that we can continue to provide the parking spaces, because by law, parking bays need to fund themselves. There is no other service that has to fund that. It has to be funded from the parking bays. So you will discover that what we needed to do was to do more things than only collecting fees. Even when we were evaluating what we think was going to be the funds from this project, we never evaluated it having 100% on parking bays. No, we had to put it at 65% on peak hours and lesser on some hours, because our aim really is for us to be able to manage the flow of the traffic within the city, of which if we fail to do that, we'll find that our city is going to be something else. Also, what you need to realize that most of the people who are parking on the street, you will agree with me on this one, where people were doing businesses on the street. And those people will cry more. And if they are doing businesses on the city, one of the things that happens is that the windows to this, the front windows to the big shops where you display your goods will not be seen, because there are people who are obstructing. So we needed also to get rid of those within the city. And how do you get rid of them? Also, you need to have a pricing that will make sure that they don't stay on the street. Currently, with $1, you discover that Ospatelem, by trade code, they are still paying for the full day. You have to pay full day, which is not meant to be, because that bay should be used by somebody, a pume, the next person, a buye, a sebenzisi, a hub. This is what a parking, this is how we arrived at these figures. So these figures did not come by probably 23 imposing them on council. No, it's not the situation. The situation is already before they came, we're charging more, only that we're not effectively collecting. Somebody was asking that, why didn't we do it ourselves? For the very same reason that I have just stated. we failed as a council to be able to monitor all the cars effectively. And there are a number of reasons that cause that. You discover that a local authority has got a lot of services that they have to do. And sometimes some of these services, which are not core to the local authority in any way, can be ceded to some people to do them. And that is according to the Act, by the way. It's already provided for in the Act. And the best practice that you find, not only in Bulawayo, all over the world, is that most local authorities have ceded that so that we can concentrate on the core of the council operations. Also, there was an issue to say businesses have been affected. Yes, it might be parking, but yes, also there could be other issues that may be there, given the economy that we live in Zimbabwe. And these effects, we need to look at them, all of them, and then say, truly, it's only parking that has affected the businesses. Because from February, or let me say from last year, we have seen a lot of challenges. If you look at most of the published financial results, you discover that the economy has been going down. So it becomes very difficult sometimes to attribute everything to one factor, whilst the economy is showing its signs. So we may need also to probably undertake another study to see, putting all the other factors in place, how parking has affected the businesses. Let me also say this, that especially for the business people, this also opens up an opportunity for people to develop parking packets where they can also charge and have people park their cars on secure parking. If you look at most of our parking packets now, some of them are being turned to what do you call them, small stalls. Some of them, they are totally empty. If you go to Bulawayo Center and look at the patronage, you discover that the patronage is not as much, but it's meant to be a packet center. We've got our packet center next year. I'm not sure how the patronage is. We've got our places like Dulis that had an up place which are supposed to be a packet center, and downstairs, I'm not sure. Some of you know what they are now being used for. And we can cite several of them that have actually been changed to something else. And these were made to accommodate people for longer periods rather than on the street. I'll repeat, somebody will be having in front of them, the shop is 5 meters. There are 8 workers who have got cars and they all want to park in front. Where will your customer park?
Yeah, that's true.